News with Jess Lujan.
And we're back with my in-studio guest Senators Limtiaco and McCreadie. We're talking about Bill 30-32 that was introduced and had public hearing today. Senators, before we went on a break, I was talking about the senators' salaries were basically based on a percentage or half of basically what the judges were making. The Chief Justice was making, and that's reflective of the I think it's the Speaker. Now, isn't that again kind of a conflict of interest where the legislature basically holds the purse strings and makes the decision as who to give raises to and things like that? So again, the judiciary branch being not a political branch of the three branches of government, that when a raise is incumbent upon them, it's given to them. So therefore, as they get a raise, automatically the legislature would get a raise as well. What are your thoughts of the possible conflict of interest in that?
Sure, and Bill 30-32 was written in such a way that would eliminate that.
Okay.
It would basically strike out all the language associated with pegging it to judges' pay. And basically it has a one-line section that says senators' pay will be X. And so this law cleans that up, and basically in order for senators to raise their pay, they would have to change the law. They would have to pass legislation that does such, as opposed to the way it's currently written, where if the judges do get a pay raise, it would automatically increase senator pay.
Senator McCreadie? Yeah.
Like I said today at the public hearing, we're not judges. You know, they not saying that we don't work hard, because we do work hard.
One of you used to be a judge.
But you know, we're a different branch of government, and I understand that we do create the law. But today I counted 27 or 28 people in the public hearing room, and I asked anyone in this public hearing room that received an increment in their pay in the last 2 years, please raise your hand. And of course, nobody raised their hand.
You know, I was watching the public hearing today for a little bit, because I knew this was coming up, and you gentlemen were coming in this evening, and I think it was Senator, if I'm not mistaken, Senator St. Nicholas that had mentioned the facts. He said, hey, my wife told me to come and defend my pay today, basically, because it's something that you earn. And you know, to a sense, he's right, but like you said, there are folks out there too. There was a Hay study that was implemented, and I think maybe GovGuam workers had opportunity to get one check, I think, out of that implementation. But you know, the governor had seen now that in order to do that, this is basically a false promise, because if you continue to do that, the basic government service won't be adhered to. You won't be able to do that. So it's a false promise. Now, a lot of people earn, and a lot of people deserve and work very hard. You have teachers, you have doctors, you have men in public safety, both fire and the policemen. I mean, we're labeling non-productive pay for folks in the fire department, and again, now you defend your pay. So who defends, you know, the men and women out there that are working? Whereas you guys can defend yourselves and make laws, craft laws that affect your pocketbooks.
And this law, in its essence, is not just to reduce senator pays. It's so that we can refocus those resources in critical areas that require it, such as the police officers, the public safety, the hospital, Department of Education, teachers, right? So it's about shifting the resources, focusing the resources in the areas that I would say need it more than in senator salaries. But it doesn't stop there. We need to look at other ways in the government to reduce government spending and refocus those resources in the right areas to prioritize it and to make them better.
You know, one of the things, I mean, elections here, elections in the mainland, elections in Puerto Rico. One of the first things actually they have done, and the governor had done this, was recommending that the legislature, Puerto Rican legislature, go into a part-time legislative function, because of the fact that, you know, they just can't afford it, and that money again is designated for certain entities within the basic services of the government of Puerto Rico to fund that, to take it out of the legislative funding to fund certain basic services of the government of Puerto Rico can no longer or is or has met these challenges over years to fund. And so, you know, I mean, hopefully we get there. Hopefully that's what we do. But this is a great start, and it's not decreasing the pay from what they haven't had. You're just reverting back to what they once had a few years back,
Sure.
And then removing that section that's tagged in to judges' pay.
That's correct. Yeah, absolutely. And once again, it's to take the resources and focus those resources on critical areas that are more important.
And we definitely have critical areas from A through Z, basic services that we can't adhere to at this point.
You know, the subject of part-time legislature came up in the testimony today. Mr. Martinez was there, or was it Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez was there. He spoke briefly about, obviously he was opposed to a part-time legislature, but there's all sorts of part-time legislatures, hybrids, complete part-time legislature that only will meet for X amount of days out of the year, all the way up to what we have, which is a full-time. And he had mentioned that there were only 10 states out of the entire 50 states that have full-time legislatures, and their pay is comparable to what our senators on Guam make. Yet these states represent millions of people and billions in economic activity. It would be nice to do an analysis as to a per capita cost of what representation costs in those states. I would figure that with a population of 180,000, we would probably be on the upper scale of that, if not at the very top.
There we go.
And that's the whole point.
There we go. We're going to take a quick break. More when we come back with Senators Limtiaco and McCreadie. Be right back.